Hey everyone, Pugs here with two new reviews for y'all. Today I'm covering Bubble Troubles and The Way of the Sponge, two episodes that no one really talks about, like, ever, even though they both have the similarity of being Sandy episodes to some degree, which at this point is kind of a rarity, or at least not super common. So kinda weird that no one talks about these episodes then, but I guess that just means I've got more room to put my own spin on things. As always, thank you all for watching the video today, you're all so very appreciated by me. And now, let's just get right into it. I've gotten better about this over time, but I gotta say that I still somewhat frequently think that this episode is Bubble Buddy Returns before I remember that it's not, and that this episode, Bubble Troubles, has a completely different plot. Though it's funny because Bubble Buddy Returns is an episode that's coming up very soon, just not right now. You'd think this episode would be about Bubbles though, and like, it kind of is, but it's really more about Sandy and the morbid ordeal of making sure she doesn't suffocate. No, seriously, what a morbid plot. I, really love that the title card for this episode is literally just from the hay in the needle stack scene from, pre-hibernation week. Like, what's great is that I didn't even need to look that up to know that, I just knew right from looking at it. I'm not sure if it's the exact background, but it's pretty damn close. Given that this is a Sandy episode, it's nice to have that callback even if it isn't really related to, anything in this episode other than the idea of bubbles and popping them, which is why I'm guessing that this imagery was chosen, although popping bubbles wasn't even a big part of this episode, so if you really think about it, this title card is kind of not really befitting of this episode, but I'm still happy with it anyway. Well, anyway, I appreciate that this episode gives some focus back to the bubble blowing hobby that SpongeBob and at times Patrick has. Although this first scene is a bit boring, except for when Patrick shouts monosodium glutamate. That was pretty funny, and it's an example of a few things I like out of this show when it uses big words that kids probably wouldn't know for, no reason, and when it makes Patrick sound smart for no reason other than the purposes of a joke. Also, fun fact, but monosodium glutamate, or MSG, is a flavor enhancer used in foods. The umami taste? Yeah, that's MSG. Fun. Okay, let me get back on topic here. So I also think that it's kind of funny that Patrick says MSG and then all of a sudden the best friends are talking about spicing up their bubble blowing with hot sauce. MSG isn't in hot sauce, nor do I think it's in most hot sauces. But I think it's funny that these two food related things have been put together. SpongeBob and Patrick's idea to use hot sauce is as predictably bad, in a good way, as it sounds, and it is a source of some great reaction images that I've been using for years. Eventually, after these shenanigans of burning their eyes with hot sauce, they end up burning Squidward with the hot sauce, and the part with the bonsai was hilarious. But this is just a gag, as the real conflict of the episode is when they go to Sandy's tree dome with the hot sauce bubbles while she's fixing her air supply. Oh, and then let me make a note of this now, because in this scene, something monumental happens. Are y'all sitting down? Because you need to hear this. You see, in this scene, Patrick is a smug jackass, but it's funny. I know, I can hardly believe it myself. And you know why this works? It's because it lasts for one joke that goes on for 15 seconds. That's it. Notice how when this type of attitude is used for a brief gag, it works. Interesting, isn't it? Honestly, there's a lot of great jokes in this part because I loved when Patrick was like, even I knew that was dumb. Just amazing. More of this, please. It actually gives me hope in Patrick being a good character again. Well, that was mean. He hasn't been a bad character lately. Just during this season, his appearances have been subpar. It's also great that this is a Sandy episode, as I'm prone to say every time I see her, and for once, she's in a real pickle. A pretty macabre one, considering that she's at risk of drowning in this episode. It's like pressure, but physics are actually somewhat obeyed here. Anyway, I always like when Sandy gets all reckless and disoriented, which now makes me feel like the title card reference to pre-hibernation week was intentional for just this reason, and this episode delivers on that behavior. The shenanigans of SpongeBob and Patrick trying to get Sandy some air while she's losing it are super funny, and Carolyn Lawrence does an amazing job here. She sells Sandy losing her mind so very well. Things only get worse for the three as they crash into the Krusty Krab as Sandy's suit completely runs out of air. It's here that she would, of course, die, but can't have that in a kids show. SpongeBob's euphemism here is hilarious too. And this episode actually does like lean into some ocean facts like really nicely in a way that I haven't seen it do in a while, as the solution with Mr. Krabs actually makes sense, I think. And then when Pearl comes in, first off, this entire thing is hilarious because yeah, that's a very precarious situation to walk into. And second off, the solution to Sandy's predicament becomes obvious, as whales are mammals. SpongeBob then goes up to the surface to get some air, and this entire bit reminds me of Scaredy Pants because we all know what's going to happen when he entrusts Patrick to bring him down after he gets some air. Also, the reveal that they had an oxygen tank all along was hilarious. But anyway, Patrick, of course, doesn't pull on the rope when he needs to, instead, freaking out about the mystery rope on his head, thinking it's a ghost, which really makes me feel like this is some kind of callback to Scaredy Pants. But Patrick's running around ends up being the exact thing that saves the day, as the air bubble SpongeBob brings down gets into the tree dome. See, that's another thing I like about this episode. Patrick's foolishness is not only entertaining, but it doesn't even hurt anyone here. It just makes the scenes play out in a different, humorous way. After episodes upon episodes, most notably the last few that I've just reviewed, of Patrick's foolishness hurting people, this is a very welcome change. Bubble Troubles is a hilarious episode, and one that I needed for a lot of different reasons. From Patrick, to Sandy, to other characters interacting, because it was nice to see Sandy interact with Pearl and Mr. Krabs, even if it wasn't a true interaction, given that she was on, death's door, and not quite in touch with anyone, or everyone's shared reality. I also think that this episode is probably a hidden gem of this season because I hardly see it talked about. But then again, I don't see many people talk about any of the good episodes of this season, so that's unsurprising. The only thing I didn't like here was the very beginning, and even then that lasted maybe 30 seconds before things got actually interesting. So all in all, this is a really great episode. Definitely worthy of my amazing tier, where it comes in with a score of 9.3 out of 10. I've never had many strong opinions about The Way of the Sponge. There was a time where I had generally negative feelings towards it, since I associated it with Karate Star and Squid Defense. I also frequently thought this episode was in Season 9. I can say with certainty that after rewatching this episode, I found that my thoughts on it really needed the update, and honestly, a Sandy and SpongeBob karate episode was definitely needed, especially given everything I'd said about how irritated I was that Sandy wasn't in Karate Star. However, despite my wish for a karate episode for SpongeBob and Sandy, this episode does bring back my same wish that SpongeBob was on the same level as Sandy in karate. Like some episodes imply that they're on equal levels, like Karate Choppers or kinda Karate Star, while others like Karate Island don't. And I don't know, I much prefer when they are on equal levels. It's more fun that way. This episode, of course, is one of the ones using the latter approach. I at least like that Sandy is encouraging of SpongeBob here, as that would have been unpleasant for no reason if she wasn't. And I also love that Sandy is even mad at her teacher for how he did SpongeBob, and then how she takes him to the Krusty Krab so that he'll be impressed by SpongeBob's skills there. She really believes in SpongeBob, and I like to see that, since we don't really get enough of their friendship for my tastes. And then, thinking of Fuzzy Acorns, I do like him quite a bit. His voice acting is great, he's an asshole, but the episode is funny about it, and he of course learns the error of his ways and gives SpongeBob a karate belt in the end, which is nice. This episode is very Karate Kid. I don't know, that's just a random thought that I'm having. Anyway, like I said, this guy is such an ass, but in an entertaining way, like when he snatches SpongeBob's actual belt, or when he takes Sandy's belt just because she introduced him to SpongeBob. Like, damn, sir, calm yourself. Also, his stubbornness about not wearing an air helmet is hilarious. And on that note, the humor in The Way of the Sponge is pretty good. It's mostly visual gags, and I can appreciate that, even if it's not my favorite kind of humor. Like the split of your life gag, or the random guy with the piano, those are some great ones. SpongeBob's training montage was pretty good, again filled with tons of visual gags, and then I liked the return of the stuffed animal weights, that was great to see. And SpongeBob being unable to open his door with his gloves on was also pretty funny, especially because it was Gary who saved the day there and prevented it from becoming an actual plot point, not just a gag. I also loved the bit with SpongeBob's "I'm ready" catchphrase, at least that's how I'm choosing to see it. The actual match between Sandy and SpongeBob was pretty entertaining, although I think it could have been better. I think the way this scene plays out demonstrates why SpongeBob should have been around the same level as Sandy, as it's just more entertaining that way. Like, I think that would have helped a lot. Even if Sandy is clearly better, making the match competitive is simply more interesting. Like, it would have given the fight a lot more back and forth rather than a one-sided beatdown that ends with SpongeBob going to sleep. The last bit of the episode, like the last 4 minutes or so, are pretty good because I always love seeing SpongeBob doing great at his job. Not to mention that this ends up impressing Fuzzy Acorns too. This whole bit reminds me a lot of Karate Choppers too because of the merging of cooking and karate. And then we get the bit with Fuzzy Acorns trying to attack SpongeBob while he's working, which is for sure a dick move because man is just trying to earn his wage and you're trying to fight. But anyway, I kind of love this trope of unintentional counterattacks, so this was fun. And y'all know I love an everybody laughs ending, so that was great. The Way of the Sponge was definitely better than I expected, but I think the only reason I had low expectations was because I had associated this episode with Karate Star and Squid Defense, which are both episodes I don't like. Or, well, I didn't like Karate Star, and I remember not liking Squid Defense, but I suppose that opinion isn't set in stone, so to speak, until I review it when I get to next season. Anyway, this episode was really funny, the story was good, and the guest character was very well used. All things that I like to see. And so that is why this episode is going to be put in my amazing tier, where it comes in with a score of 9 out of 10. As always, I'll be ending this video with some closing thoughts of mine. Honestly, I don't really have anything else to say about these two. They're both just really good episodes, and I needed that after hitting some real duds lately. Especially since both of these episodes feature Sandy, who has unreasonably few appearances in my opinion. While talking about Sandy and SpongeBob's karate prowess while reviewing The Way of the Sponge, I kept thinking about the karate Bikini Bottom level in the Cosmic Shake. I guess that game is another example of Sandy and SpongeBob being more evenly matched, since of course they'd have to be if we are to beat the boss of that level. Man, doing that level without getting any damage was hard as fuck for no reason. I need to get back to playing that game so I can get the achievement for beating Gary's boss fight without being seen by him. That shit is damn near impossible, I swear to God. Okay, I'm getting way off topic now. Let me just let y'all go and close out this video, and I'll see y'all in the next review.